Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the Second Button Podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 1. I'm a co-host, Andrew Walsh, and with me is the other co-host,
Brian Gower. I was thinking of how we're going to name these. Are we going to name it Episode 6, Season 1, Episode 1? Or Episode 6, Season 2, Episode 1?
Episode 6, Season 2, Episode 1, Part 1 of 6.
Yeah. I was like, oh, because like the podcast is going to go in numerical. And I'm like, if we call it Episode 6, people are going to like, which one? So we'll figure it out.
We'll call it Season 2, Episode 1, like S02E01. Whoever's listening to this.
Yeah, you already know.
That is what we decided on.
We have 2 weeks to figure out what we're going to do. So it's probably going to be just like a Sunday night decision. Like, oh, shit.
Yeah. We'll forget to put episode anything. It'll just be the title.
Yeah.
Which the title is The Ex-Girlfriend.
Yes. So this is jumping into Season 2. It wasn't as jarring because I think I did just watch, like, when I finished Episode 5 of Season 1, I just jumped into this, Season 2, because I'm like, all right, Netflix is like starts playing the next episode, and it wasn't too much of a difference. I guess like maybe some of the set design is a little bit more put together and more Seinfeld-y, but like later on when they go to Monk's, I'm like, they're still not sitting in a booth, so it's still not, super Seinfeld.
Yeah, they're still at the table.
Yeah, and then they still have the stand-up bits, so I think we made a comment on the last episode. Like eventually, like in Season 8, they're just doing away with the whole Jerry stand up.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't realize that I never realized that they did go away. So I don't know. I just never noticed that watching it.
Yeah, but rewatching this, like and taking my notes, I'm like, the episode goes by so quick. Sometimes I'm like, oh, how long are these? And I'm like, oh, they're like 22 minutes. Of course, there's a whole lot going on in there. But yeah, so. Season 2, Episode 1 starts off with a stand-up bit.
Episode, before we get into it, this episode aired, just to put time into when it aired on TV, it aired a week late because the Gulf War began.
Oh,
so
shit.
They didn't air it that week, they aired it a week later. So that kind of gives people a perspective of,
when
this was on TV at the beginning of the Gulf War. And I remember as a kid collecting, I collected cards, like, that was my baseball card time, and there's Gulf War trading cards and stuff, right? Like, that's how long ago this was. So.
Yeah.
Brian was still peeing his pants the first time around. Back then. But.
Was that 90, right?
It was 1990,
yeah. But, so a week late, this episode came out. Starts off with Jerry stand-up bit. Is, the lane expert. So when you're driving, how people have, like the mission to get into the best lane, which one is going to be the fastest? The
bobbing and weavers.
Lanes, which one's going to be the fastest?
I was on the highway today, and when you see a house on the highway, like someone transporting a home, half a home, and the wide load truck behind it.
Wide load, yeah.
The person that was the lane expert that was bobbing and weaving was the person driving the truck with the house on the flat deck.
Oh God! You need to just
going along, and he goes to the left, then passes the car, goes to the right, passes on the inside, and this trail car, like with the wide load thing, he's zooming in trying to keep up with the guy. I was like, "What are you doing?"
He's trying to shake him when you got a whole house. And you're like, "I'm taking this house somewhere else.
Build my own house."
Yeah. So. But it's pretty good where you're like, they're just trying to pick the best, lane. It's like, oh yeah, no, this one actually was the good one. You found it. Surprise. You found the best lane. It's a secret. Nobody knows.
And whenever you do move lanes, then the other one speeds up. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I usually don't switch lanes all too often. I'm usually kind of, just pick the course, or I try and just like, I don't know, if I know I'm getting off soon, then I'll move over. Like, I know some of my friends, they just fucking go all. I'm like, what is this, a fucking game for you? You think this is Mario Kart, dude?
Want to see how quick they can get to the same place.
Yeah, but he goes into talking about traffic and stuff like that, where it's like, oh yeah, sometimes it's like, oh, you're so slow, you could see the gum on the ground, and I'm like, I know this is like, it's like, well, a joke or whatever territory that people have talked about so much. How does this traffic just fucking stop? Like, Where? No, how? It doesn't. It's not like there's like a wall and everybody's just hitting that and stopping.
Yeah,
it's like
going slow enough to the point where it stops.
No, it completely stops too.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure you ever driven Los Angeles, LA traffic.
No,
maybe it's probably similar to like New York, big cities.
I drove through Manhattan, like I drove the island, and once.
Yeah,
I will not drive Manhattan a second time.
That's why I'm like, it's probably comparable to where it's like, this is gonna add 2 to 3 hours to your trip.
Yeah,
just driving, not even in LA. You're trying to go past the fucker.
Yeah,
doesn't
we used to have that going past Montreal. You get a lot of traffic, and you'd be down to not moving. And then they built a highway that goes around Montreal now, and you pay like $2 toll to take a highway that bypasses it completely.
Totally worth it.
It's well worth it. Save you like 2 hours of driving.
Yeah, that's how like LA usually. I mean, it just sucks dick. But just if I'm like driving past it to go to like San Francisco or Sacramento or something like that, that is what is going to eat up your time. Is LA?
Yeah.
Just it's when you do like the your highway driving is like 65, 70, right? And you do the mileage. I'm like, oh yeah, that shouldn't be that much. And then you just tack on 2.5 hours for LA because you just stop. Doesn't matter if it's night, 5 a.m., whatever, afternoon, you're gonna hit it. And Jerry
all the time.
Yeah, totally. And then Jerry's bit was like, yeah, it gets so bad it stops. And then eventually in the future, it's going to be so bad that you're going backwards. Like, whoa, the traffic's really bad today. I might get off and go the other way. So you're actually trying to go. You going southbound on the northbound because like that's how bad traffic is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it ends with that, and then it goes into the episode, and George and Jerry are in Jerry's car, and they're just talking about George. He can't break up with his girlfriend. He doesn't like, just doesn't. He can't do it. It's like he doesn't want to be with her anymore. He already has made the decision in his mind, but it's executing the breakup he can't do.
He said he's already forced to say I love you.
Yeah.
He said I love you even though he doesn't love her. He wants to love her, but he can't, but he said it anyway.
Yeah, it's like he's browbeaten.
Obligated.
Into, going out with her. He even says like she like kind of forced him to go out with her.
Yeah, and she seduced me. And Jerry's like, you're a good guy. I'm like, no, he's not.
Yeah.
He's George.
Yeah. So it's like, Jerry makes the comment about like, oh yeah, you got to do it, like a bandage right off.
Yeah.
you gotta just do it quick and do it. I guess, yeah, for, I don't know, people that I've broken up with or I've been broken up with, it's usually like that. Like it's quick. I do it quick, and it's almost like too thought out that I'm like, oh yeah, no, just don't, I'm just trying to like bob and weave. What about this? No, I'm good. No, it's not going to work out. We're not going to work out. Da 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 da. Boom, done. And never talk to him again. And I've had it too where people I've been broken up with, and then I'm trying to like, how can I make this work out? And then they're doing the same thing. It's like, you got to end it right then. It's like any opposition. It's like, no, woo, 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 you got to bob and weave. And
you're ducking out of the way of every comment.
Yeah, because the breaky or breaky up or whatever, the ones broken up with are going to try and like just grasping at straws to whatever can, salvage the relationship. And I'm like, no, this relationship sucks. And it sucks.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I think I've like, one time, like I did, I can't remember if it was a mutual breakup or whatever between me and a girlfriend. And then months later, I think we saw each other again, and then we're like, yeah, I think we can totally make this work. Didn't last more than a week.
Yeah. Like, if there's problems, there's problems. Unless you actually focus on those problems.
Yeah, we both like,
it's not going to go anywhere.
And then again, it was mutual afterwards. Like, I fucking don't like you. We're fucking. Oh yeah, I realized why we broke up in the first place. Yeah, and so when you try and make it work, it doesn't. So, anyways, so they're talking, and then George, he just makes the off comments like, oh they're sitting in the car, like, oh, my back hurts. And then Jerry, he's mentions, oh, you should go see my chiropractor. He's the best.
He's like, everyone's guy is the best.
Yeah, nobody's guy is the worst or even okay. Like, go see my guy. He's okay.
He's all right. I go to him.
He's just above shitty.
Yeah. Yeah.
I say that, but legit, my chiropractor is the best.
Mine too.
That I go to. I tell people about him. I'm like, oh, he's great. Da, da, da. He's gone to different offices and stuff like that, and I just follow him wherever he goes because he's still in San Diego, but just different offices and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, I'm going here. All right, cool. And I've been going years actually to this guy, probably almost a decade. So that's how much I like him. So I tell people that I'm like, is he really the best? I'm like, best. I mean, because I've gone to. There's like this chiropractor joint here. It's called The Joint. That my chiropractor was
a good name.
Yeah, working out of. And I'm like, okay, it's actually really close to my work. And so I can go there on certain days that he's there. I'm like, cool. I'll schedule it out. And then he was on vacation for a couple weeks. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just go see. Like, I really tweaked my back. I'm like, I'll just go, whatever. If he's working there, it's probably other people are good too. So I went to just see other chiropractors. Oh my God, they were just.
It's not the same.
Yeah. One of them, like, just could not crack anything. It was like climbing over me and trying to pop certain things and wasn't going. And I'm like,
you have one job.
Yeah. It didn't crack anything. And I'm like, you made it worse. I paid money for that. Like you were trying to do shit. And I'm like, I could just crack it on, like, just myself better than you did. And then anyway, so I was like, I'll just never go when that person's there. And I went another time because my doctor's like, oh yeah, so and so is gonna be filling in on this Wednesday that I'm not here. He's good, and he's like, he's a really big dude, so he'll be able to just kind of crack you around and bend you around, stuff like that. I'm like, it was a weird thing to say. And he was totally right because the guy did. He just like bent me like a fucking pretzel and just like
he can manhandle it.
Exactly. And I'm like, that's what I'm looking for in a chiropractor. I want a big manhandler just to toss me around.
I still drive an hour and 10 minutes to see my chiropractor, so she's the best.
Yeah. And like he's like my neck, he's like, oh, try this, and he's like, and then he's just like, and I'm like, okay, yeah. So I guess there can be good ones and there can be bad ones. So but anyway, so it's like back on the episode, Jared, they kind of agree, like, oh, we'll go together. So that kind of sets up a scene for later.
Yeah. And then Elaine shows up. She's going to get in the car.
Yeah.
George is going to put her in the back seat. She's like, I'm not sitting in the back seat. I can't hear the conversation. Which is true. When you're in the back seat, you're not part of the party.
Yeah.
Right?
The front. Yeah. If you're the only one in the back seat, you can't hear jack shit.
Yeah. And she's like, my chin's going to be sitting on the seat.
Or like, had to put like chin almost like a parrot. Or like, what'd you say?
Yeah. What's going on up there?
It's totally true. I've done it to where like we've gone to like, maybe get like after practice, we're like, oh, let's go get burritos. We can just go in one car. And then it's always like, my drummer and guitarist are up front. And they're talking about whatever. And I'm like, I'm just totally so far out of the conversation. There's no way I can like yell what I need to. I have to yell what what about this? Guys, you ever think about that? I feel like, and
you're just playing Minesweeper on your phone.
Yeah, just like, well, it's like 10 minutes. I'll scroll around on my fucking phone. Who cares? And then we did. Sometimes Brian, my drummer, will like he'll want to involve me in this conversation. Like he's like has like batting around ideas, and then he'll like, "So Gower, what do you think?" I'm like, "Fuck, I gotta chime in," and I'm just like doing the exact same thing. I'm like kind of sticking my head through the seats, and like, "Hey guys, so anyway." But she's totally right. Her whole thing, so she gets it. Her way.
George won't push over, and she makes a homophobic joke.
Yeah,
because it's 1990 and homophobic jokes were funny.
Yeah, it's like they
publicly
didn't want to be in, or like, yeah, they were all going to sit 3 on the bench seat in the front, and then George, didn't want to sit next to Jerry just because like
can't go guy girl. That's just weird. And she was a little homophobic. Are you, George?
Yeah. How could you tell? That's the way he said it. Yeah. So anyway, so they're just driving, and then Elaine, she's part of the conversation, so she's telling a story about someone in her building, and like, oh, they would greet each other, and then it was like, oh, hi, hello, and then it goes to like head nods, and then it goes to nothing, and so she says, oh, we went from nods to nothing.
And then George starts singing when she says nods to nothing, and I was like, that sounds familiar, so I looked it up. It's Tony Bennett's Rags to Riches. So George starts singing Tony Bennett's song.
Yeah.
Instead of rags to riches, he puts in nods to nothing.
We went from nods to nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. Just going to start singing in the background.
But yeah, rewatching this, I remember that my drummer for Just In Case, when he first moved to San Diego from New Jersey, he joined a band that kind of just started up, and they named themselves after this episode, that phrase nods to nothing. So their band name was called Nods to Nothing. And they were all Seinfeld fans. And I don't think Brian was. He's like, I don't know what. Okay, whatever. It's a band name. Like, it doesn't always need to be like groundbreaking.
Yeah.
and I got that. And they were a cool band. They, played for, maybe a year and a half or a couple of years or whatever. And the name, it was like, it doesn't stand out to you as like super Seinfeld, it's not like it's like, Kramerica Industries or something like that you're going to name your band.
Yeah. The Vandalays.
The Vandalays. That's a great.
I'm taking that one. If anyone hears this, I'm copyrighting that name. The Vandalays.
I would be very surprised if it wasn't already taken.
It's probably already taken.
The Art Vandalays. Yeah. No, it reminded me of that. I'm like, oh yeah, that is actually a pretty cool band name. And be like, oh, where'd you get it from? I mean, a random episode. Very small part of the episode where it nods
one
to another
scene.
Yeah. But yeah, no, they had some bangers. You can check it out on Spotify. One EP that they did was good. Separate Our Ties. But anyways, so it goes back to Jerry's apartment. He's making a phone call, and it just won't go through to the person that he's like trying to call. And he's like, that's just to set up the scene. And then Kramer busts in, Kramer style. Like, eating like a cantaloupe. So it's a cantaloupe that's cut in half, that's all cubed up, and he's just eating it, smacking his lips, and he's like, insists, Jerry, try it.
So Jerry's on the phone making this phone call, trying to figure out, do I dial the wrong number or do I have the wrong number? And the person won't.
Oh yeah.
But which is an odd situation. And usually when someone calls me, I'm like, you have the wrong number, and this is the number. Like, they say, is this number I called? You be polite because you don't want them to call you a second time, but this person wouldn't. But then Kramer busts in, and you hear the buzzer ring to let him someone in the apartment, and he doesn't say who is it. He just hits the button and says, "Come on up." He doesn't even care who it is. He just
so all Jerry's fucking with the phone call because he ends up calling the guy again. Yeah. And it's like, see, if you would have answered me the first time, I could have figured. Click. He's like, why do people do that? So it never resolves whether it's a bad phone connection or he dialed the wrong number or has the wrong number. It just
exactly.
Whatever. And then that's when Kramer, buzzes just nobody. He just has no idea who it is. Buzzed him up to come to Jerry's. The one security measure that they have.
He just doesn't care.
But yeah, he's got the cantaloupe and he's like, oh, you got to try this. You got to keep shoving. It's like, no, I'm all right. I'm all right. And he's like, finally just like, okay. And he just, it's good.
Yeah.
So he's like, where, going like, where do you get your fruit at? It's like, I just go to the supermarket. It's like, oh, go to this place. It's like, it's too far. Talking about like, it's like 3 blocks away. And he's like, oh, you can use my shopping cart. Like, it's yours. Did you steal a shopping cart?
Yeah.
Like, they mentioned that just kind of offhand. And, Kramer's like, oh, I'll let you use my shopping cart. I'm like, did you just steal one and tie it up somewhere so that you can use it?
Does he actually have like a full shopping cart or one of those little ones that's like a basket on wheels?
To me, in my head, I think that it's like a full size, like, supermarket shopping cart that he stole.
I think Kramer probably stole a shopping cart. Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. But they're talking about, it's like, oh, fruit's a gamble. And, he's like, you can't return fruit. It's like, it's either going to be good or bad.
It's not true. If I buy a bag of apples, I get one and half of them are bruised. I just throw them in the compost and move on with my life. I don't go back to the store with apples and say these are half shit because it's.
Well, how are you going to prove? You'd have to go really out of your way to prove that. You'd have to have the receipt that you saved. You have to save the receipt, by the way, and then you have to go back with it. I bet people do. Return fruit.
Oh, I guarantee people do.
I've never returned food or fruit before.
I had milk that was bad the day I took it home, and I contacted the company and I'm like, listen, I bought this today. It's sour, right? Like, I've had that happen, but I never took it back to the store because it just seems like a hassle.
Money back or anything, or no? You just let them know.
They sent me $8 in coupons, a $5 coupon, and 3 $1 coupons.
There you go.
Could have at least gave you $10.
Just gave you a coupon.
We'll replace exactly what you spent. So.
Yeah, but I just like that it's a gamble. And then Kramer's still there, but he's just smacking on his cantaloupe. I like that. He's like, do you have to do that?
Can you stop smacking?
Yeah. But anyways, George comes in. He was the one who was buzzed in. Wasn't like just some crook or whatever.
Not someone coming to steal the TV or anything.
Mm-hmm. George comes in, tells it, he did it. He broke up with the girlfriend. He's all excited.
He was happy. He was dancing. He was singing.
He was like, it was hard to do, but he did it, and he was proud of himself. And then one little problem.
He almost broke when she started crying. He said,
"Oh yeah,
I almost broke when she started crying." And then she got angry. And then Kramer asked for her phone number.
Yeah, it's like, I was like, "Who's that, Marlene?" He's smacking. He's like, "You mind if I get her number?" He's like, "No, I don't." I was like, "Okay." And he just walks away. He was not offended by it at all. Not like he's like, just took his answer as no. He's like, all right. He just walks out.
Just eating his cantaloupe.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, Marlene, yeah, I like her. Can I have her number? No.
Who does that? But yeah, so George has a problem with the breakup.
So yeah, one little problem there is that he left his books at her apartment. What's a weird thing to leave? Like, weird thing to like bring, I get, or like, hey, I'm coming over. I'm bringing books.
Yeah.
I get maybe she really wanted to read. I don't know. But it's like.
She might have borrowed his books. He wasn't actually reading them. Yeah.
But so he was like, wants them back. Is kind of what he's
Are you a book guy? Do you have like a bookshelf with books you've read and you save them?
No. I don't. I was going to ask you the same thing. I could tell you have a bunch of books behind you.
You can see on my right shoulder, I got a fucking stack of books. These books. Are my Star Wars books. So I have, since they relaunched the canon for Star Wars, I have every book since that started. So that's my collection here in this room. And then upstairs we have a bookshelf, and it has my vinyls on one section. It's like the cubes. So my vinyls fit in there in one spot. And then we have some decorations, and we have books, but not many novels. Mm-hmm. Usually if I read a novel, I usually buy the paperback, and then once I'm done, I'll pass it on to someone else. But we have like a Ghostbusters, the art of Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And some Ashley's a big Alice in Wonderland fan, so there's like a whole section of Alice stuff, and I have some other Star Wars like art of and the making of and stuff. But coffee table books pretty well we have saved up on the shelf, but we don't really save novels that we've read except for my Star Wars collection. So,
yeah, I don't have very many books. Like I think I've been going more. Like one, I don't read that many books. I haven't. But if I'm starting to get into it, I'm not even reading. It's just audiobooks. So I'm like, oh, okay. I don't have a lot of those. And to me, it's just like I'm getting more and more to the idea of maybe because I was never into books, I don't see the appeal to own a ton. And, having bookshelves of,
Yeah. It's like any collection, though, I guess. If you don't collect it, you don't see it. But if you do collect it.
Exactly. Like I would even say, just the physical media as far as like CDs and DVDs, I'm getting less and less attached to.
Yeah.
Like CDs especially, I think I could totally like, except for the few that aren't on Spotify, but I'm holding on to them just in case, like, well, what if they're not, Spotify goes down or whatever, I can't listen to music.
I can never hear music ever again.
And then I have like a CD folder, one of those ones that like you got 196 CDs or whatever you'd have, and you just flip through them. I have that full of CDs. I'm only keeping certain cases for ones that I really like. And even that, I'm kind of going back. I'm like, I have like a tub full of those, like the little tub, like plastic tub full of tons of CDs. I'm like, why am I keeping these?
We have a cabinet full of CDs. Mm-hmm. It's probably a few hundred, maybe 300 CDs probably in that cabinet. And then we have DVDs on the other side of the TV.
Mm-hmm.
We're keeping them for now, but usually I don't buy many new CDs. If I really like an album, I usually buy the vinyl because I feel like it's more of a collector's item.
Yeah.
And then I listen to the vinyl once or twice, but you listen online, right? So
yeah. And that's me too. Like I'm going to listen online, or I'm going to, if I go to like a show and a band, I just, want to support them like with, money, I'll buy a shirt. Because to me, like, actually, the markup on a shirt is, they're going to make more money off of that than a CD anyway.
It has to be huge because there's no reason that shitty t-shirt didn't cost $50 to make.
No. They're not too bad. At least the bands I'm seeing are punk bands. So it's like $20 for a shirt. So I'm like, okay, that probably cost them $5.
When I saw Jack White, he was charging $20 for an album, like vinyl album, $20 each. Whereas you go to the store and they're charging $35, $40 for his album. So I thought it was cool that
that's
he was selling them so cheap at his own show. So
it's probably because they already paid for it. So like, okay, we own these. We just want to get money.
He does press them too. He has his own record manufacturing. So
for Third Man Records, right?
Yeah, Third Man Records. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of the tours of that, and then they actually they make the records there. I'm like, oh shit! So they're a record label with actual, record pressing abilities. But anyways, back to it. So George has books. George has books. He likes the books. He wants the books. So and same thing. Jerry's kind of like mentioning to him some of the things that we were talking about. It's like, well, you already read it. Like, why do you want it again? He's like, well, they're my books.
Yeah.
And George is like, that's his thing. He's like, they're mine. I want them. And I'm like, Jerry's like, you're not going to read it again. What are you going to, why? Why do you need that book? So he kind of like, okay, well, Jerry, can you go get it for me? Because I know if I meet her or go to her place again, George is like afraid of getting seduced back into a relationship with this woman.
You know what's going to happen. I'll get trapped into something sexual.
Yeah.
He's just so scared.
Yeah, George is like, he can't go. He's afraid. So they meet up at Monk's, Jerry and George's ex-girlfriend. And then she's just going on talking,
And she's like, there's no reason we can't remain friends just because George and I broke up.
Yeah. And that's
he feels like he can't say no.
Yeah. And she's kind of just won't stop talking. She's just going on and on and on. And she's like, yeah, you know what, Jerry? Yeah, we can still be friends. And I don't know. It just makes me, I don't think I've ever been friends with any of my friends' exes.
No, even like a Facebook friend. If you have friends that are dating and they break up and you have them both on Facebook, it's like, ooh.
Like, all right, well, yeah, you delete the girlfriend. Because I'm like, why do I have you? I don't. You were only with him.
If you didn't know them both beforehand, then it's kind of an awkward situation, right?
Yeah, or if you knew somebody's like your friend's like boyfriend or whatever. It's like, I don't need to know this guy. Just get him off the fuck of my feed. Book up, delete.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it kind of ends like, oh, they're gonna still be friends, and then it goes to the chiropractor, the waiting room over there, and then they're talking about Marlene. She won't stop talking in person. She won't stop calling Jerry with meaningless conversations, or what the other thing that George was saying. It's like she will just she'll call and just take up your whole fucking tape on your answering machine. Yeah, so they're kind of complaining about it, and he's like, well, you're involved with it now, Jerry. And it's just like a friend thing now. It's like nothing's gone into like them dating. It's just like, all right, you have like George is like, oh, I'm done with her. I don't have to do it. And like, now you have a shitty friend, Jerry.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Have to deal with it. Yeah.
But yeah, so, and then in the waiting room, and then, George goes in to the other waiting room and comes out like pretty much right away and did nothing.
Yeah.
The guy,
he's like, I was in there for 2 minutes. He's charging me $75.
Yeah. 75.
What am I seeing in there?
Sinatra. That was a great one. He's like,
what's the name that comes up as Sinatra?
Sinatra. That's a lot of money. My chiropractor's not $75.
Mine's $60, and that's like Canadian dollars. So that'd be,
and that's also
45, 50 for you. So.
1990.
Yeah, it's not 30 years ago. Yeah.
And then, so he's like, okay, he makes a point. That's it. I'm only paying half. It's like, you can't do that. I pay what I want to pay. I'm like, George is making that stand of like, I'm going to only pay what I want to pay. So he says he's only paying half the bill. So then it goes, to the scene with at night with Jerry and Marlene, and then it gets a little awkward. And then she had mentioned that they had kissed.
Well, right before they go back, when they're still talking, Jerry and George, George does say, just do it, because Jerry wants to break off the friendship with Marlene now.
Yeah,
just like George wants to break up with her. And then George repeats, do it like a Band-Aid, right off.
Oh, yeah.
But he sounded like Jerry when he said right off. He did like a Jerry Seinfeld impersonation when he did it. So
yeah. Oh, yeah, that was a good one. Yeah,
for the 6th episode of a series, it was good to see that kind of.
Yeah,
he made fun of the way Jerry says things kind of thing.
Because, like, Jerry made it sound like it was so easy. And George went through that. And so he's like, oh, yeah, if you can just do it, then just make it so easy. If it's as easy as you say.
Yeah, just do it like a Band-Aid.
Yeah. So he's at Jerry's car at night with Marlene, and it's just awkward, like I said, because they kissed, and
you
then
can tell as soon as it starts, like you can see their faces.
It already
happened.
Happened. Yeah. And then they pretty quiet. It's like it's not that big a deal, Jerry. And then she kisses him on the cheek. Good night. And then Jerry's still like jaw dropped. He's like, good night.
He doesn't know what to think.
He's attracted to her and he feels terrible because like he's George's ex-girlfriend. So like that's pretty apparent that they're friends, so they're not just like shitheads. And I was like, okay, well that's like kind of a rule. You don't want to go out with like exes or especially when they're currently dating, but afterwards it's still like a taboo thing.
Yeah.
And how I said, I'm like, oh, I've never really been friends with exes after that. I'm like, I've never been like friends exes or whatever. I've never wanted to date a friend's ex-girlfriend. And nobody's ever wanted to date mine.
Yeah, when I was a teenager, I was dating a girl and then she just kind of stopped answering the phone. Like I'd call and just not get an answer for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And then she was dating my friend and he's like, what? I'm like, oh, we were couple.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, but she didn't want to date you anymore. I'm like, oh, so now you are? I'm like, we never broke up.
Yeah.
It's just like awkward.
Yeah. No, that's
why I couldn't picture being that guy.
Yeah. That is super.
Yeah. We're not really friends anymore.
Yeah. This guy probably is a dickhead.
Yeah.
But
that's one of the friendships I grew out of.
Yeah. And it's like a cheesy turn of phrase to say, but it's like the bro code, right? You wouldn't date your friend's ex. You wouldn't want them dating your ex.
And it's not that you have ownership over this person in their dating life, but it just your friendship would be awkward.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? So,
it's like I think it maybe is different because I like San Diego's huge. You could easily never see that person or their friends ever again.
Yeah.
100%. Like, and it's, San Diego's, big city, millions of people. So it's like, what are the odds? You'll never have to be like, I'll never have to make this decision unless I actively go out to do it.
Yeah. The town I grew up in was, the actual town was 12,000. The whole county was like 40,000, right? So it was a little different situation. You knew everybody. Yeah.
I have like somebody, like she was like a friend. She was from a small town, kind of like outside of Detroit, not really in Detroit. And she would talk about how like, oh yeah, no, they've like a bunch of her friends all dated the same guy. I'm like, oh.
Do you know what town it was?
I don't remember off the top of my head. No. And I'm like, oh.
Ashley's from just across the river on the on the Canadian side of the Detroit River. So.
But I was just like, oh, it's not like an orgy, but it'd be like, oh, once you're done, then you date other
Someone
people.
Else dates them.
And then, you kind of know the people if you're into the same things. And I'm like, I understand your logic of what you're saying, and it's probably not weird, but I'm still like, ugh.
You're like, I hear you. I hear what you're saying.
Like, I'm like, oh, no. And then she just was like, you're such a fucking asshole. I'm like, 100%, yes. I'm a man of character. Weak character, but I have some.
I have character. It's not a good character, but it's a character.
Yeah. Anyway, so
then Marlene goes to kiss Jerry goodbye after that.
Oh yeah. And then he's speechless.
Turns the cheek to her. She gives him a kiss on the cheeks. He turns away a little bit. So.
Yeah. So they go back to the apartment there. So it's still the awkward feeling that Jerry's got. He's thinking about it, or whatever. And then Kramer comes in, and then Jerry's eating a cantaloupe of his own. One that he got
from Kramer's guy.
No, he bought from the supermarket, I thought.
He bought this one from the guy, I thought.
I think Kramer's this one
take it back, right? Maybe.
That's a later episode. So they bring the whole cantaloupe, and it's not between you and me, that's between you and God.
Yeah.
God makes the fruit. I just sell it.
Yeah, true.
different episode. But this one, Jerry's like, "Oh, did you get it from my guy?" Or he's like, "I just got it from the supermarket." And Kramer's like, "Okay." He takes a bite. One little bite, it probably barely hit his tongue. He's like, "Blah, that's disgusting."
Yeah, this is awful.
That's awful. So he just has to shit on Jerry's cantaloupe, just like it's not good. He's like, "You gotta take this back." I'm not returning. It's already cut up. Half of it's eaten. Yeah. You see like the fucking peel or whatever, the skin of the cantaloupe just on the counter. It's all chopped into pieces. Like, you gonna return that?
Yeah. Kramer's going to.
Yeah. And so they're talking about the cantaloupe and shit like that. And then the call, the phone rings. And then Jerry's like, don't pick it up. Let the machine get it. And they both hear the message from Marlene. I think she's talking about like she's in the bath or something like that.
Yeah,
it was something, sexual.
Alluding to other things, yeah.
It's just that message, and then Kramer just like looks at him like, is that George's ex-girlfriend? So Jerry explains the situation to Kramer, with the ex and everything like that. And then Kramer's like, yeah, what's the problem? Go for it.
Kramer sees no problem.
He has no problem. The whole bro code.
Like, he has that same kind of shit-eating grin when he's like, there's drama here. Kramer just kind of sits back and he's like, smile. He's like, this is gonna be fun.
He's like, I'm gonna get into this. What he says something that was like, it's pretty. He's like, why are people like this? Why should George deny you pleasure? I'm like, God.
Yeah.
He's like, it's so like it's funny, so it doesn't end up being gross. But if your friend was like, "Oh, you're the shittiest friend,"
yeah.
Why would George want to deny you pleasure? She's just gonna sleep with some jerk, so why not sleep with you instead? Because you're a good guy.
And the good guy thing comes back because Jerry said that to George early in the episode. He goes, "You're a good guy."
Yeah, he's like,
and then Kramer says it to Jerry
because you're a good guy.
You're all awful people telling each other that they're good guys.
He would do her a favor by sleeping with her. It's so bad. It's hilarious. And then it's like, it didn't really put Jerry in a good headspace either against Kramer's shitty attempt there. But Elaine comes in. She gives Jerry like, "Oh, I brought your airplane lamp." I made the same point.
Yeah, I thought it was so odd. Like, why didn't she just walk in? Why did she have to have this airplane lamp? It just didn't seem to have anything to do with anything.
Why did she take it?
Yeah, why did she borrow his airplane lamp?
Why did he have it? And why did she take it?
Yeah,
it would just sound kind of. Yeah, it could have just been like a friend. They didn't need to write. I wonder if they wrote it just so that it would just be like a what the hell? And then they move on. Never mention it again.
Or if there's a deleted scene or something that we missed.
Or just like that Jerry likes weird, it's just decor.
Or show like he has like a quote immature kind of outlook. Yeah.
He wears a lot of sneakers. Why so many sneakers? Oh, he's got a Peter Pan complex.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But then Elaine asked for a piece of cantaloupe, and Kramer's like, "Nope, I'm taking it back."
Yeah, because
they're packing up this whole cantaloupe.
Yeah. They both did, like look at her like, "No, you're not gonna." While Jerry's eating the cantaloupe, Kramer's fucking with it. No one is gonna offer me cantaloupe. Nope.
Yeah. He's just gonna take it away.
Yeah. So he leaves the scene by like, "Oh, I'm gonna return this." So he's gonna take because he's got jack shit to do that day. So he's like, "Oh, I got something to do today. I'm going to go argue with the supermarket about their shitty cantaloupe."
We all need a Kramer for a friend, I think.
Yeah, he's like, "I got nothing to do today. Don't worry, I got you back for 60 cents a pound on this bad boy." So Elaine is now telling Jerry about the update on the nods to nothing guy. So she talks about confronting him at their at the complex, and she's like, "Oh, she's like, why did you start doing that? We went, we knew each other." And then he's like, the guy ended up being like, "Okay, I just didn't feel like you were greeting anymore." And then
I just don't want to say hello anymore. Okay.
Yeah. And Jerry's just like blown away. He's like, "Wow, you are the queen of confrontation." It's like, yeah, like she's not afraid to like start something just to get like an answer that she wants.
Yeah.
Or like, I have a question. Like, I need to get an answer to this. She could just move on. She's still not going to get that hello, but now she made it more awkward. But she makes the comment about eating the cantaloupes. Like, oh, this is terrible.
Yeah. A little piece left over.
But yeah, Jerry's inspired by that. Elaine's go get him attitude. He's like, okay.
I also write the word inspired.
Mm-hmm. Like, there you go.
We got a connection.
Tap the temple.
There we go. Yeah.
And
episode 6, we got that connection.
Oh yeah, like he's inspired by her gumption or whatever. So he's like, I need to do that. I need to get this out in the open.
Tell George,
because it's like it'd be a shitty situation. It's like, okay, he probably feels guilty too, and then also it's like, okay, maybe he also still wants to see her. So he's like, okay, but I can't do it without talking to George. So
yeah.
When
they go to Monk's, it feels like the classic restaurant shot.
Yeah,
kind of coming into the restaurant,
mm-hmm.
kind of. And that's kind of the shot I think that sticks for the rest of the series.
Yeah. And then they're at Monk's, and then it opens up like, I don't care. George doesn't give a shit. He is so cut off and just disconnected.
So nervous about telling him, and George's like, well, I don't care, and I don't know why. I don't care.
It's like, I feel terrible. It's like, no. What does he say? It's like you're a saint or something like that.
He's like, I should care. I don't know why I don't care.
Yeah, he's like, he doesn't. He's so disconnected from her. He does. Yep. He's just gonna.
She's sexy. He says she's sexy.
Oh, I know, because he was seduced by her or whatever he says.
Yeah.
And then so, he could doesn't care. He could like it's impossible to care less. He's like, go on, just do it.
So calm. And this is what you think George is going to blow up about. Like George's character will get mad about this, but they kind of have extra calm, I think, for a reason.
Yeah, it's
because
like
then it leads into Jerry saying, "Do you know what? Since you took it so well, don't worry about it. You don't owe me $35 that I paid for the chiropractor." And then George loses his shit
because he thought he stuck it to the man. That's what it was. He thought he's like,
he paid us half.
Yeah. He's like, I only paid half, and then he left, and then Jerry just. The rest of the $35. Like, it was embarrassing. It's like, why didn't you pay? It's like, because he thought he made a point. But like, hey, you shitty service. You're only getting shitty money for this.
Yeah.
That's what he's upset about.
And he's not wild.
Yeah, not the girlfriend. Fucking have at it, buddy. Who cares? But you covered my fucking chiropractor, my stand that I was gonna do.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Like he probably was like, that made his week to be like, oh yeah, so the doctor, the quote unquote doctor, I got his ass.
Yeah.
And then Jerry covered him. And then it goes back to Jerry and Marlene. But this time it's not hot and heavy.
No.
She's visibly not into it. You can just tell from the beginning of this scene. And then Jerry's like, hey, she's was talkative and seductive before, and this time she's just visibly disgusted by him.
She has that look in her face, like just
like, are we done yet, kind of thing. And then Jerry's like, okay, what's going on? She's like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to. He's like, no, I want to know. And then she's reluctant to tell him, but she does tell him the truth.
Yeah.
She's like, I saw your act. I wasn't impressed.
She's like, you saw my act? What do you mean?
So she hated it so much she wants to break up with him.
Yeah, there's so much fluff, and I just can't be with someone if I don't respect what they do. She was completely honest, and then and he's like, but you're a cashier. She's like, yeah, I just didn't like the material. It's like, it was an off night. It's like, no, I heard the material. So it's off night. The crowd was bad. It was late. They were tired. Like,
the crowd was bad. That's pretty good. That she's like, no, even I was a judge to say no. We're done. We're done with it.
And then it goes off to his final stand-up bit, which is tying directly into the episode, which I found this is, as the episodes go on, they tie them more directly into the episodes, it's good. And he says about how guys don't care what the girl does for a career.
Yeah.
Right? Like
it's another kind of like women be like, guys be like kind of thing, where he talks about, guys, they know they need to impress a woman with what their profession is.
Yeah.
And so guys like, puffing it up like it's a resume.
Yeah. Making up titles.
yeah. Just making up titles for nothing. It's like, I accomplished a lot in a competitive field. Taking on a lot of job responsibilities.
Yeah.
Wear a lot of hats at my job. It's like, you work in retail. I know, competitive market. That'd be like what I do. I feel like I almost don't, I guess I'm not a comedian, but I usually don't tell people that I check out my band or listen to my podcast and stuff like that. If people are interested, I'm like, okay. Like if I'm, dating somebody or like on Tinder, the dating app, I'd be like, I think I put that, I've gotten it off my bio. I think I put like, I have something interesting. I have a podcast. I have a band. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. What's your podcast? And I tell them, it's like, wow. Like later on in the text, wow, you and your friend really think you guys are hilarious, huh? I think I mentioned it even on here. It's like,
oh yeah, I don't think I know.
Yeah, it's like, even listening back, and I'm like, I think we're funny, or whatever. I'm like, and I'm laughing at it legitimately. I'm not like, oh, fake laugh because it's awkward. I'm like, I think we're fucking hilarious. You need to listen to the one where Kyle farts. There was a Patreon where it's like we were talking, and then like out of nowhere, we're talking about plugins or whatever, and then out of nowhere, Kyle just farts. He's like, and the microphone picked it up. He's like, yeah. So, anyways, there's plugins for EDM music and oh yeah. Anyway. Like you could hear him on. Like it was like almost ASMR where he's like, oh, sorry. And I'm like, that's hilarious. Anyway, I don't really mention that anymore because I'm like, and sometimes like they're like, oh, your band is cool, or can I go see it? I'm like, I don't like, you don't have to go see my band play. It's not like that's like, I'm like, oh, it would be like go on a date and like, oh, where are we going? We're going to the Casbah. I have a gig.
Yeah. You're gonna come watch me play.
$6 cover, so cash only. It's a cash bar too, so bring cash.
Yeah.
So you just like hit people up. So want to come watch me play? Yeah, but anyways, the other part of it too, it's like guys don't care about what women do for a living. So he makes the joke about like a woman could work at a slaughterhouse.
Oh, slaughterhouse. That's interesting.
Yeah, she could work at a slaughterhouse, and then a guy can be like, "Oh, that's cool. Why don't you just change clothes and take a shower, and then let's go. Let's head out." Yeah. You can be covered in just blood. He's like have the knife still. He's like, all right, let's go. So where do you want to go tonight? Yeah. So want some pizza? Just not phased about it. It's like, let's go. But yeah, that was it. It was a quick episode. I don't know. It felt like it went by really fast. And I think because like sometimes when I'm like watching it, I'm like, oh, that's cool. They go by so quick. And then when I have to like, I'll go back and take my notes. And I'm like, oh shit, I think so much happened in this episode. But it was just a blur because I've watched like 4 or 5 episodes in a row. I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is, it ends really quickly. They introduce this character. She's kind of like bringing a little, drama there. And then she's gone at the end. And we never see her again.
I think we do.
Really?
She looks familiar. And so I didn't want to, not spoil it. I don't want to ruin the future of the show, but I was like, she looks familiar. So I looked it up, who she was. And when I looked her up, she had 2 names.
Oh, okay. So
for Seinfeld. So I think
Marlene doesn't come back.
Yeah, Marlene doesn't come back, but the actress comes back as another bit part at some point. So we'll keep an eye open for when that happens.
And that happens another time too. Krista Miller, I believe her name is. She was I mean, she's been several things, but no, she was like in Scrubs. But anyway, she was one of George's girlfriends, the one who like, I don't care what you do. You could drape yourself in velvet for all I care. And then so where George starts wearing velvet tracksuits, it's like, hey, it's the Velvet Fog. So it's like, and he's like, she's not disgusted by me at all. She actually really likes me. And then she's also the one where he has like the peach pit. He's like, oh, is that peach? I'm like, oh, yeah, sorry, this is the end of it. So he like the pit, and then he puts it on a plate, and then she sucks on it. And he's like, oh God. And so she's like the perfect girl. He's attracted to her. She loves him. And then he's just like, oh, and he ends it. She's also in it again, where he gets the job as the bra salesman. She's in the elevator, and then he just feels her fabric.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, what are you doing? Oh, I just was feeling like, no. And then he gets hired and fired right away.
That's my mom feels fabric. She's a fabric feeler. You get her, she's like, what's that? And she reaches out and grabs a fabric. It's great.
I've only ever seen it from this show.
No, she's a fabric feeler.
Who fucking do that? It's like, oh.
She wouldn't do it to a stranger. She'd be like,
I know. I'm not saying it. Yeah. I just like in this show, I don't get it. It's like, oh,
no.
I think it was like to like hit on somebody. I think it was in this show.
Yeah.
But anyways, so there
is another guy. It just came back to me, so we'll have to keep an eye out. Norman something. We'll look it up. We'll talk about this next episode. It's Kramer stand-in. So there's a stand-in for Kramer when he's not there to do a scene, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy that does the stand-ins for Kramer, he's a background character, and he's in like a couple dozen, maybe 30 episodes. He's in a background character somewhere because he's on set already to be in Kramer's place for the scenes. So they throw him in the background a bunch of times. We'll look that up.
Yeah, okay. I'll have to check that out. I'm just thinking.
We'll make a note here. Norman. I think it's Norman.
I just think of like as the returning girlfriends at least. She was one that was George's girlfriend, but she didn't come back as George's girlfriend. She was the boss character. To just fire him right away for being creepy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, that was a lot of fun. So season 2, episode 1, episode 6 of the Second Button Podcast. That's good. I think that.
And we're now on Spotify.
Yes.
We switched hosting services. So we're on Spotify, and I think everything else is working right now. So if you have trouble finding it, maybe send us a message on Instagram or email the Second Button Podcast at gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
And let us know if you can't find us. But I think everything worked today from what I could see.
Yeah, no, it actually, worked out really well. So I was like, oh, was it going to be on iTunes? I don't know. And it totally was. So everything, no problemo there. But yeah, like Andrew said, be sure to follow us on social media. We have Instagram at the Second Button Podcast. And then we have a YouTube channel, the Second Button Podcast. Both are linked in the description of this podcast. And eventually, maybe in the new year, we're trying to get the video going. So subscribe to YouTube, and you'll be up and up on the video podcast. I think that's about it.
We missed this on the last episode because I didn't look ahead to see when this one was airing. So we're recording on Monday today. This is when episode 5 came out, and Festivus is 3 days away. So we didn't get to say Happy Festivus last time. I hope you had a Happy Festivus.
We'll have to make a post or something.
Yeah. I hope everyone had a Happy Festivus, but we're a couple weeks late on this one. So
yeah, so, happy belated Festivus.
Yeah,
for the rest of us.
Belated. Yeah.
All right. We will see you next time.
Goodbye now.
Bye.